Welcome back to your favorite soccer betting podcast. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you. This is episode 58 of Pinnacle FC. The international window is done and dusted. Just one more upcoming in a few weeks. We're all looking forward to that. Or perhaps Jake Osgathorpe is changing his tune based upon recent trends. But we're back this week looking across European football's top domestic leagues. Some big games this week. Liverpool, Manchester United. Is it a good time? Is it a bad time for these sides to be meeting? The Klassiker, the first meeting between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich this season as well. So we'll spin you through all that. And with keeping in mind also the Champions League returns as well next week, as well as the Europa League and Conference League football. Some interesting totals in the Premier League. I want to flag that as well this week, and I'm sure we'll be digging into that as well. Jake, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good. Good to see you too. I've changed my tune on international football. I absolutely love it. It's been an absolute haven this last couple of weeks. Backing rubbish teams to do very little, as I was telling you beforehand. So yeah, hopefully I can keep that going with some good winners. I found the slate pretty tough this week, I'll be honest. Across Europe, the markets are very, very tight on teams that I would be looking to back. So I'm having to get a little bit creative, taking win to nils, wins and unders, wins and overs, those kind of things where I think there's extra juice. But yeah, fingers crossed. I think I went into the international break on the back of Newcastle to win under 2.5 goals against Forest, which was a nice plus 370 play, I think, something like that. So yeah, I'm going to dip back into that well.
Brilliant. What's interesting about the international window and this 48-team World Cup, we might see some crazy markets for the World Cup, which will be rather unpredictable. We'll have to get into that a little bit later on because with some of these weaker teams that are now going to be making the World Cup, just what that may make the group stage of that tournament next summer, what that may look like. I'm already intrigued with the draw upcoming in a couple months' time. That's where my head's going to already, future plays when it comes to the World Cup. I digress. Remember, you can follow all the markets that we use and get involved on Pinnacle, BetSmart, Bet Pinnacle. It's got the best odds, the best payouts as well. Follow along on social, on X, at Pinnacle, and the subreddit community. Pinnacle Sportsbook, get betting insights, market updates, and access to Pinnacle insiders. With all that being said, let's dig into the slate for this upcoming weekend, starting off in the Premier League. Shall we start with the Sunday fixture? Liverpool and Manchester United at Anfield? We might as well. I'm not sure if I have a bet in this game. Largely in the Premier League, it's pretty much been chalk. Liverpool, dominating United in recent years. But United have come up in the FA Cup and cup competitions and, provided an upset here and there. United come in with a little bit more stability coming off a much-needed 2-0 win over Sunderland. And Liverpool lost their 3 straight in all competitions, including a late goal conceded at Chelsea and a 2-1 loss at Stamford Bridge heading into the international window, where all of a sudden there are more questions and answers. 2 of their marquee signings in Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak, even for country, just haven't looked anything like themselves previously before joining the Anfield Club. So here we go. This weekend, Liverpool are a considerable favorite. They absolutely need a win. Minus 157. I mean, spin it back a couple of weeks, maybe this number would be pushing minus 200. So it's come back to a certain degree. The total is set at 3.25. I really couldn't find a market that I like, not necessarily because of the markets, because I find both of these teams very difficult to read and predict. United, you could have banked on them to concede. Now they bring in a new goalkeeper in Lamens, who's completely different. On the other side, Alisson Becker's out for a little bit of time, so the backup goalkeeper's playing for Liverpool. There are just too many variables for me to actually have a really solid place I want to land here for this tie. I'm not sure how you're coming at it, Jake. Is there enough to back Liverpool here? The fact that the number has come back a bit. Where do you stand?
Exactly the same as you. I'm taking a very wide berth for this game. You mentioned United have struggled against Liverpool. They actually have fared pretty well in recent head-to-heads. They've only lost one of the last 7 against Liverpool across all comps. That was a 7-0 defeat at Anfield. I think we all remember that one quite well. But yeah, they avoided defeat in 4 of the last 5. Very, very solid for whatever reason. They've risen to the occasion and play Liverpool very tough. And like you said, it's a Liverpool team at the moment that have just they've flattered to deceive, haven't they? Even when they were putting up all those really late goal wins, they weren't playing very well, and that's kind of caught up to them the last 3 games where they had ultimately fallen short. But yeah, on the flip side, you've got Amarim's away record as a Man United manager, which is absolutely horrific, as you would expect. 3 wins, 5 draws, 9 defeats, and the 3 wins have come at Leicester, Fulham, which was a game after a European match. It was one of the worst 1-0 you'll ever see, and Manchester City, where it was a smash and grab. Mateus Nunes handed them 3 points. So, yeah, you could make a real case either way here. And I mean, my first line I put down here was United got a decent record against Liverpool, but the handicap at +1. Like, I'd want at least +1.5 if I'm taking Man United. And likewise, Liverpool just looks so open defensively at the moment. You don't trust them. So yeah, leaving this one alone. Hopefully, we get a bit of entertainment.
Me too. Even with the team totals, there's nothing unless you think that this is going to be an exceptionally high-scoring game. Look, it could go anyway for me, so I'm completely staying away. I want to loop a bunch of these Premier League games together this weekend, at least to start off this next conversation. We have a goal line, a total for this weekend set at 2 in the Premier League. This is very, very rare. Sunderland and Wolves, it's set at 2, -119 for the over, +106 for the under. You go a little bit elsewhere in the slate. Burnley and Leeds United is set at 2.25. And then you have a bunch of 2.5s. Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham, Arsenal, West Ham, Brentford as well, Spurs, Villa. This is very rare. The totals have had a significant reset because over the last 2 seasons, especially when we've been doing this, totals have been pushed higher and higher. What do you make of that? And can we find some value in the totals this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a low-scoring Premier League so far, and there is generally a thought and a trend it bore out after the last international break. The first game following an international break generally comes more low-scoring across the board, just because obviously players are travelling all over the world. There's going to be a lot of fatigue. All of these clubs in the Premier League have players play international football, and it just means that A, coaches don't get time to work with them. B, they come back and they're knackered because they've played and travelled, and it means a drop in intensity. Now, I wonder if it'll be the same this time around, because I'm not 100% sure, but I think most of these South American teams didn't actually play in South America this time. Some of them might have, but obviously they finished their World Cup qualifying, so there were no competitive games. So that might mean that the South Americans are a bit, more raring to go, ready to play at higher intensity than usual. But either way, like you said, the line that stands out is Sunderland Wolves. Like, we have to back the over 2. Like, it's quite simple.
That's what I was going to say. It seemed like kind of a blind bet to me. That was the first game,
100%.
First thing I wrote down. 2. I know Sunderland have a number of injuries and absences, but 2. I mean, this is a Wolves team that's hardly looked like a defensive juggernaut. Like, they're not a team that will park the bus and play. And Sunderland, their attacking football has been quite decent, Jake. I think the eye test will even tell you that they've been a decent threat all season. So yeah, that 2 is an automatic play.
Yeah, and I think it's early in the season, but you have to look at this game as like a pretty much must-win for Wolves. I mean, they're sat on 2 points after 7 games and 9 points behind Sunderland, the team that were strongly fancied to go down at the start of the season. This is the first real opportunity to take on one of these teams now that they've got a settled side after 2 good performances. Like, they're going to have to go up there and really have a go. I think that plays into it. And ultimately, that means that someone's going to be chasing the game. Like, Sunderland will be looking at this with an opportunity of home game against a relegation contender. We kind of have to win this as well. So I had a little look back last year. If you took all the matches between the relegated trio and Wolves, because they were in the relegation mix for a long time last season, they all 12 matches saw at least 2 goals. So back in this blind, you wouldn't have lost any money whatsoever. 6 of them saw at least 3 goals. There was an average of 2.67 per game. And I think, yeah, I was expecting 2.5. That's generally what you would expect, even at the lower end of expectation in the Premier League, because it can, obviously, the attacking quality can be off the scale. So yeah, just basically back this blind and realistically shouldn't really lose money because like I said, the Wolves, it's a great opportunity for both teams. And it's the same with Burnley Leeds, but I have a small reservation about that one. And I had a hesitancy to back the over, yeah.
Because all of Leeds and Burnley the last 3 weeks, I believe, have all gone over that total, like significantly.
Yeah, but they've played good teams that take a bit more risks. Like I don't think Burnley are going to take much risk like that. At home last season, they conceded just 8 goals in 23 Championship matches. They kept 2 clean sheets against Leeds as well last season. Overall, 16 clean sheets in the last 26 home league games. Like they're fine margin football to the nth degree when they're playing at home. We've seen that already this season with a 2-0 win over Sunderland. They were a stoppage time penalty away from 0-0 in Liverpool, 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. So I think that this game could take a slightly different approach because I think a point, both teams might be happy with the point. But the bet I had down for this was actually Leeds not to score at plus 288.
Really? Because all of us, like, I'm looking at Leeds a little bit different here. Like, they actually do have some attacking talent. Now, Farkas had some time to bring them all in the team, and they look like a much more dangerous side. I understand that about Burnley, but they've had a different goalkeeper this year. Their back line has been all over the shop. I understand that it's an important game, and they'll play for that. But if Leeds can test them and score a goal early, this game could go well over that number. I think the game context matters. If you don't like the number now, perhaps a live bet is the better way to do it. But again, at 2.25 at a plus number at plus 102, I kind of feel like you need to just plug your nose and bet the over on this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, the main reservation I had is that Leeds have looked toothless away from home. Like they've put up XG totals of 0.46, 0.83, 0.16.
Where they play? They played away at Arsenal. They
Arsenal,
played away
at Fulham, at Wolves. Okay. So they're not, like that would for me was, and then you combine that with how Burnley at home are built on strong foundations and not losing football matches. That just had me down as between two minds, because I agree that the goal line is a little low, and I can see like the same reason a 6-pointer could go anyway. But at the same time, so I've ended up kind of sitting on the fence and being no bet. But
yeah. And any of the other totals, like I'm looking at. Okay, I'll let you go, and then I'll comment as you share, because for me this week, I'm trying to see, like, literally every game I'm interested in the Premier League this weekend, it has to do with the total. And
you might be interested from a different avenue to me, because I'm looking at unders. I'm looking at unders in quite a few of these games. Brighton, Newcastle, the first one, I'm looking at under 2.5 plus 102.
That's one of my favorite bets. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, Newcastle have been the best defensive team in the league this season. Like, there's been no one better. Not even Arsenal. Newcastle have taken that spot. And they've actually played a tough schedule. They played 5 of last season's top 9 in the first 7 matches, just 0.7 expected goals. And for whatever reason, these two teams play out very low-scoring games. So unders has actually landed in all 4 of the last head-to-heads. And then you factor in that something's not quite clicking at Brighton. And I'm quite happily to take unders, which, I was leaning towards Newcastle getting a result as well, to be honest, draw no bet. So I do think that they're in a position now where they're going to really kick on, but I thought unders was the best bet in this one.
Champions League football, that's the only thing midweek. They do still have some players out. That's it. I'm assuming that you like Villa, Spurs, and the under 2.5 as well?
That would be my lean. Yeah, that would be my lean.
Go ahead.
I'm not having a bet on this one, but that I did put here. My lean would be to take the unders because the XG totals in these two teams' games have been really low this season.
And beyond that, Kolomuani might be on the verge of returning, but no Solanke. Like Spurs have kind of looked toothless in attack. Like if it's not Kudos doing something on the dribble, creating on his own, just too many players have been out. There's been a lack of fluidity, and again, they have European football upcoming in the following week as well, as do Villa in the Europa League, but it's a little bit of a different story there. At plus 103, I think that there's some really good value of under that total. The under, I can't believe I'm going there.
Easy
but
for you to say.
I know.
Under. Come on. Under.
Forest Chelsea under 2.75 makes a lot of sense for me. This play jumps out because you can back Chelsea to beat Nottingham Forest and Big Ange as the nightmare continues at minus 107. They're begging you to play Chelsea here. But I just think that there needs to be some sort of like market correction just in terms of the way that they play. Try to grind out a game, a little bit more defensive at home, back to the future, if you will, for Nottingham Forest this weekend. And 2.75 is a little bit high for me. I think that Maresca would be happy just to go there and come away with a 1-0 if at all possible. So that's the other under that I'm looking at this week. I think that's all the unders.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was borderline on that one. I actually think Chelsea might be quite a big price at minus 108, but then you factor in all the injuries that they've got and that's suspensions. They're missing quite a lot of defenders.
That was also the thing about the attack. I think that Maresca will have to kind of rein it in a little bit for this one and just play within themselves, and they should be able to come away with a victory here. But I just don't think that a wide open game is something that we're going to see. I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, if you're Forest and you're looking at no Colwill, no Reece James is 50-50. He might not make it. Fofana's 50-50. Tosin Adebayo is out. Chalobah's out. Oh no, Chalobah might be back.
They have 1,000 centre backs this team, so
it could be a decent spot for Forest to actually have a go. But Forest's process under Ange has been horrific. 0.8 expected goals for, 1.8 expected goals against. Like that's relegation worthy, and they've played Sunderland and Burnley in that time. So you know we could be on the Monday podcast and be saying, why the hell did we back Chelsea at minus 108? That is a gift. A top 4 team away at a relegation team.
Yeah, I wrote it down. That's the one side that on my worksheet that I circled. It shifted out, by the way. You could have had Chelsea closer to even money, but it's already shifted out. So I'm not going to touch that result.
I have one more unders in Crystal Palace Bournemouth, and the reasoning is I just think these two teams are a really fascinating matchup. They've played out 2 0-0 draws last season, and the 3 meetings between Iraola and Glasner, there's been just 1 goal. Palace are yet to score against Bournemouth since Glasner took charge, and the games have averaged just 1.4 expected goals. So there've been literally no goal mouth action, and if you take the average over those 3, Bournemouth have limited Crystal Palace to just 0.37 expected goals in those 3 matches. Obviously, we're talking like this is Crystal Palace last season when they had Eze at the back end of the season before, where they had Elise and Eze. And Bournemouth have just 1.1 expected goals. So I just wonder if it's something to do with Palace struggling to deal with Bournemouth's pressing and shape. But that's an under for me at minus 105.
Okay. I do have an over. I like over the total in City Everton. I think Everton, I'm not even looking in on previous meetings. Like the way that Everton play now with their personnel is very, very different. And the way that the City's reality with, Rodri out again and the way that they play, they look a much more, well, they've always been an accomplished attacking side, but this is where they're going to butter their bread is just through their attacking game. At 2.7, I was surprised that this total wasn't 3, to be fair. So 2.75 at minus 107 makes sense. City being a juggernaut at the Emirates or at the Etihad, playing at home. I think that there's goals in this game. Looks like Tarkowski might be on his way back, but this would be like his first game back in. I think that Everton can cause some problems in set pieces as well. Donnarumma, for as good of a shot stopper he is, isn't great on high balls and crosses in the way that Everton maybe can find some joy here. And it's Jack Grealish. Wouldn't surprise me if Everton come up, score a goal. Maybe Grealish is involved at some point. So I think that there's plenty of storylines there. It should be a watchable game. And I think there's going to be goals in this. It's one of the few overs I like this week.
That's one of the reasons why I wasn't keen on taking overs. Is because Grealish, you can't play. He's
right.
Against his parent club, and I just wonder how much that's going to affect Everton. Because he like every time they get the ball, they're looking for him. So if they get the ball and like who are they going to be giving the ball to on that left hand side? But yeah, no, I don't mind that. City, they're just a funny old team at the moment, where I find them very difficult to predict. Like I thought they'd go to Brentford, it'd be a high-scoring game, but it was the exact opposite. There was very little happened.
That was a class result. Everton at home to Palace, and they were great after going down a goal in that game. It's just for me, this Everton team has a little bit more metal, a little bit more substance to them in previous years. And Njai can play. They look like they have far more options in attack than they did last year. Dibling's an interesting player. Alcaraz will come in, I'm sure.
He might come in to play on the left, actually.
Yeah, and Alcaraz. So I still think that they have players that can challenge the City backline on the dribble. All these players, by the way, very good with the ball at their feet. That's what I like about the way that they attack. It's not just pass, try to systematically, break down another team. They're going to take the game to you. So, I still like the over, despite my misstep there on Grealish. So that's it from the Premier League for me.
Yeah, I have one more, and I said that I found City unpredictable. I think Arsenal are very predictable. No surprise, built off a defensive foundation, is one of the best in the division. And away from home, they keep it even tighter. So under 2.5 has landed in 2 of the 3 away games this season. Last season, it landed in 12 of 19. And I know Fulham have gone quite high score in the last 3 games, 4 goals on average, but only 2.28 expected goals in those games. So there's been a couple of, quite a bit of overperformance at either end. They've had a kind home schedule. And I've just not been at all impressed with them. Like the attack in particular has been really underwhelming. 1.1 expected goals for per game. They could still be missing Raul Jimenez. They could still be missing Muniz. Muniz is definitely not playing. Jimenez is touch and go. Lukic is not playing either, which is a big miss in midfield. But at the same time, they're not a team that just get rolled over quite easily. I think this will be quite a tight game. And you're looking at the prices, under 2.5, -112, Arsenal win -177. I think we just combine them. Take a bigger swing at +266, Arsenal win under 2.5 goals. So that's a 1-0 or a 2-0 win. I'm more than happy to take that chance because, I'm confident in where Arsenal are at. And I know exactly how they're going to approach this, exactly how they're going to try and nullify Fulham. And ultimately, they've got enough match winners now to be able to go there and get wins.
Yeah.
With Fulham, the win to nil's at +163, so you are getting a bit of a bigger price. Obviously, you don't get 3-0, 4-0, but
Fulham's one of those funny teams that they'll play competitive for 90 minutes, and then somehow it ends up being a 3-1 loss or something like that. Like it's just everything tracks to be, in a game like this, like a loss into the under. It's just. Yeah, I'm a little bit standoffish when it comes to Fulham right now because I do think they have some good players and some good midfield depth, some interesting players that are coming off the bench for this team to change the game, but just all hasn't quite come together yet. I just want to stay away because I'm not sure if this will be the weekend. Typically, we move to La Liga next, but let's go to the Bundesliga because it's their Klassiker, and it could. I say this a little bit tongue in cheek, but it could be a title decider here. And we're in mid-October. It's top of the table Bayern Munich facing second place Borussia Dortmund. Has there been a better team in European football than Bayern Munich out of the gate? They've scored 25 goals in 6 Bundesliga games thus far, a perfect record. Dortmund have been very good as well under Niko Kovac. Like this team, 4 wins and 2 draws out of the gate. They've done well in the Champions League as well, despite players coming in and out of the team. The line for this one is incredible. You can back, I had to check this, you can back Borussia Dortmund to win this game at +711. +711. Bayern Munich on the spread is a goal and a half favorite in this game against Borussia Dortmund. Does this number make sense for you, Jake? Is this disrespect to Borussia Dortmund, or are Bayern Munich simply that much better than the next best side in the Bundesliga?
Just like the Man United Liverpool, I can make an argument both ways. That could be sold either way. Yeah, I don't think there's as big a gulf as what the prices suggest. But at the same time, Bayern Munich have played at such a level that it wouldn't be surprising if they did roll Dortmund over quite comfortably. I know that Bayern weren't quite at this level last season when they played under Kovac. It was 2-2 draw. And prior to that, Dortmund had actually had a decent couple of games. Yes. They drew the reverse last season. They went to Bayern and won the season before. So they've been mixing it pretty well and kind of punching above their financial weight in this fixture. But yeah, the Bayern Munich's attack just looks devastating at the moment. And I think while Dortmund have been solid defensively, they're the second best defensive team in the league based on expected goals. Like, this is a big step up. Not just Bayern Munich, but Bayern Munich in their own backyard, who are scoring for fun. So I was very close to taking the goal line at 3.5. So I do think that's a little bit low because both these teams have the capacity to score 2 on their own. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see like a 4-2 or a 5 or something daft like that. But yeah, I'm just going to take a watching brief and just enjoy it because I do think this is going to be a cracking game.
Okay. I'm tempted just to take the spread. A goal and a half is a lot. But you're right, with Bayern Munich playing at home, I think it could very well be a 1-goal game, but the game will have goals. Like, Leimer's playing left back for Bayern Munich right now. I believe Guerrero is out again this weekend. Bowie's the right back. Like, I just look at this team like, how are they doing this? If I'm going to back Bayern Munich, which I will at home in this fixture, it's going to be both teams to score and for Bayern Munich to win. And that's a little bit more juice at plus 141. I think that's the best way to do it here. Bayern Munich, I don't think they've conceded a goal at home this season, but they played really soft competition. They've won like 6-0, 5-0, 4-0. So this will be a step up in competition. And generally when they play better teams, they've conceded on the season. So both teams to score and Bayern Munich to win at plus 141 is my play. And that will be one of my, that will make my board this week. Elsewhere in the Bundesliga, anything else for you this weekend?
Yeah, I've got 2. I'm just going to take Leverkusen straight up at Mainz, plus 152. I think we're just getting a better team here at a big price. Mainz have lost all 3 home games so far this season. They played Köln, Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund. I think Leverkusen are definitely in that category in terms of class of team. They've struggled to create chances in all 3 of those, have Mainz. And Leverkusen's process since Kasper Hjulmand took over has been pretty good. 2.2 expected goals for, 1.0 against, only bettered by Bayern Munich. So they are showing signs that they're getting back to what we saw pre-Erik ten Hag, who just completely destroyed them in very short space of time. But the only caveat is that they've only won one away. They only played one away game in that time. That was at St. Pauli. They did win that, but I think Mainz are really struggling at the moment. They've lost a couple of players in the summer, and I think that like plus 152 for probably the 3rd best team in the league away from home against what's looking like a bottom half team is quite a big number. So I'll be taking them straight up to win that game. The other one I really like is Leipzig against Hamburger. Leipzig to win to 0 at plus 233. It's very rare that you want to be backing a win to 0 in the Bundesliga because it can be just pure chaos. Hamburg, they're winless away from home. Just 1 defeat, which did come at Bayern Munich, but 2 draws against Gladbach and Union Berlin, 2 very average teams. And Leipzig have been really good. Since they got beat 6-0 by Bayern on the opening day of the season, they've allowed just 1.2 expected goals against per game. Won both home matches, 2-0, 3-1, limited their opponents well in that game. It was a decent Köln team that scored against them. And in total, they've won to 0 3 times in 6 matches. And last time out before the break, they played Dortmund and limited them to just 0.9 expected goals. So I do think we are seeing some positive defensive signs from Leipzig. And I think Hamburg are not a very good away team. I think they'll struggle to create chances.
Okay. One other play for me in the Bundesliga. This is the early season trend. I think we need to follow it. Eintracht Frankfurt and the goals. They can score. They can't defend. 17 scored and 16 conceded in the Bundesliga. And the Champions League is bonkers as well. They play at Freiburg. The total set at 3. You can take the over for even money. I will be making that play. And I will be continuing to look to play Eintracht Frankfurt overs for this foreseeable future until something changes. To La Liga we go, which has been a little bit crazy with the last couple of weeks with Atletico Madrid beating Real Madrid. Barcelona smashed 4-1 to Sevilla. There's been a number of injuries and absences for Barcelona, but still that result jumps off the page. Where are you going at this weekend in La Liga?
Yeah, I've only really got one bet on my card that I like, and that's just to follow the Atletico goal train. They're playing Osasuna. Osasuna. I mean, they are ass, especially when they go away from home. But yeah, they've lost all 4 away games this season, conceded nearly 2 expected goals in those matches, and Atletico Madrid at home in particular just red hot. Red hot. I mean, they scored 5 against Real Madrid, put up nearly 4.5 expected goals the game previous against Rayo Vallecano. Sorry, nearly 5 expected goals against Vallecano. Obviously scored 5 against Frankfurt as well. They scored 2 against Villarreal before that. So they're very, very good at home. And I think it's just going to be a case of it's going to be one-way traffic. Atletico got so many different options and different weapons to hurt you now. Atletico win over 2.5 goals at plus 132 was where I was looking to get a bit of extra juice.
Okay.
Against Asasuna.
Asasuna. That I'm sure that they all appreciate your new pronunciation of their club. 2 plays. I'm a big fan of Espanyol, and especially the way that they attack. They're at Real Oviedo for a Friday night fixture. The goal line's too low for me, and it's giving juice. Like 2.25. I will take the over at plus 108. I'll get back on the Barcelona train because they play Girona this weekend, and Girona have turned things around marginally, but still not a very convincing side. I think that Hansi Flick will have to pump the handbrake to a certain degree in this game. I don't think it'll be a game where Barcelona play as open as they typically do. I think that Girona are going to be tough to score a goal in this game. So that's the direction I'm going. If you just want to play both teams to score no, you can get them at plus 115. The market is just suggesting that Barcelona are going to concede, which I don't think that is a given. I like both teams to score no and for Barcelona to win at plus 134. So for Girona to fail to score and Barcelona to win at plus 134.
It's quite. I mean, it's a Catalan derby, but it is quite funny when you look down the board at La Liga and you've got like handicaps of like 0, 0.5, 1, 1.25. You've got goal line of 2.25, 2.5, 2.25. Then you've got Barca Girona handicap -2, goal line 4. It's like wow. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were that many goals in this game.
They've scored Girona, but just to my point really quickly, like they've scored 5 goals on the season in 8 games. They have one of the lowest expected goals. But that's just predicated on Barcelona and their reputation, not only from an attacking perspective, defensively they've been poor as well, but they need to get this back on track. And I think that at home against a really weak side is a good spot to do it. So this one to me is a good spot to like go against, market trends and try to get on Barcelona in a decent spot for them to come away with a clean sheet. All right, to the Serie A we go to wrap things up, or anything else that may catch Jake's eye. Maybe betting against Rangers. That's been a popular play. I don't think it's a profitable one anymore. I think the market is just about juiced on that. Start in La Liga, in Serie A. What are you looking at here?
There's a couple of good fixtures actually this week. You've got Roma versus Inter, which is Roma have had a very good start under Gasperini, 5 wins from 6, but Inter have been just completely not what we expect from a Serie A team. Like they've racked up 17 expected goals in 6 matches. It's like it's nearly 3 per game. But it's almost like a movable force versus whatever the object is in that scene. Now, I have no idea. I can't remember. I'm going to try and really clever there, but I've made myself look an idiot. But yeah, Roma are one of the better defensive teams. They've only conceded twice, 5 expected goals on the season. So, yeah, I'm struggling to decide which way to go with this one because the line's set at 2.25, which does seem quite low for a team in Inter who have been creating the chances by the bucket load. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that game in particular.
Nothing. I
No.
just I'm unwilling to place Roma being decent. I considered this in all different ways. I think the Inter attack is very good. I think that again, this is a game that at this stage of the season is a little bit too unpredictable for me. I kind of back Inter in this game. I lean Inter. Roma needs to show me a little bit more, but I'm going to stay away. I'm just going to go the good old Gareth Wheeler bet. Because Napoli away from home, win to nil against bad teams, it's cash money. They're at Torino this weekend, who are really struggling. At plus 184, Napoli to win to nil. This is just an automatic play. It's being profitable. It continues to cash. Where's Torino here? I mean, this was one of the first games that I added to my docket this weekend. Torino, 5 goals scored on the season through 6 games, just 1 win through 6. Their expected goals, just over 6. This is a no-brainer bet for me. That's my favorite play. I also like potentially over the total. Well, I do like over the total in Como and Juventus. It's at 2.25 as well. The international break, I know that there's a depth of players at the back for Juventus, but Bremer's been their best center back. And they've lost him for months due to a knee injury, I believe. So he is out. So it's some combination between Gatti and Kalulu and Lloyd Kelly and whoever else they play. None of them are as good as Bremer. I think he's just exceptionally important. Juventus has been a very good attacking side based on the process. And so is Como. Como is a very good side, especially at home. So I think 2.25 is too low for this as well. So I'll be playing the over. Just those 2 plays in Serie A for me. I wanted to get involved with Roma Inter. I just can't get there.
Yeah, that's the stance I took. But I see your Napoli win to nil, and I raise you AC Milan win to nil against
Okay.
Fiorentina because Fiorentina are really struggling at the moment. They are we've got a former Milan manager, Pioli, in charge. He's had a really torrid start. No wins in 6. They've drawn away from home, all 3 draws against really poor teams. At home, they've been beaten all 3 times by really good teams or top half teams. They are right down there, struggling to create chances, just 1 expected goal per game. Now they go to Milan, who've got the best defence in the league, 0.7 expected goals against per game. They've kept 4 clean sheets in 6. Only Napoli are the only team that have done anything against them in terms of creation. I think they racked up over 2 expected goals in that game. All the other 5 sides they've played have generated less than 0.6 xG. That includes Juventus. Milan average 1.6 expected goals for, so they're not overly explosive in attack. They're just one of those teams that just does enough to win every week. So it just seemed like a controlled 1-0 or 2-0. So yeah, I was toying with win to nil at plus 159 or win and under 2.5 goals at plus 281. Just sided with the former just in case it gets 3-0, 4-0, which with Fiorentina's record wouldn't be a surprise.
Brilliant. Anything else, or shall we wrap this thing up?
Yep, let's wrap it up, put a bow on it.
All right, let's go. Your 5 units to bet. Where are you putting those this weekend, Jake?
So I'm going to take 1.5 units on Atlético Madrid to win and over 2.5 goals against Osasuna at plus 132. 1 unit Arsenal
I hope
to
for
win.
the graphic it says Osasuna, by the way.
Yeah, that's going to stick for the rest of the season. 1 unit Arsenal to win under 2.5 goals versus Fulham at plus 266. 1 unit Milan win to nil versus Fiorentina at plus 159. A unit on under 2.5 goals in Brighton, Newcastle at plus 102. And then half a unit on Leipzig win to nil against Hamburg at plus 223.
Okay, well done. 5 1-unit plays for me. There'll be 1 bet that's the same as Jake Osgathorpe's. That's Brighton Newcastle under 2.5 at plus 103. The blind bet, Sunderland Wolves over 2 at minus 119. I know you're not getting a lot of juice, but hey, this is just an automatic play for me. Let's go Barcelona to win and Girona to fail to score. So both teams to score no. Barcelona win at plus 134. A Napoli win to nil at Torino at plus 184. And Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. Let's go to Klassiker. Both teams to score, yes, but Bayern Munich to win at plus 141. All the markets that we've used on this podcast are courtesy of Pinnacle. Winners always welcome. And I will welcome some winners this weekend as well. Enjoy the football, Jake. We'll do it again on Monday for a Champions League lookout.
Yeah, nice one. Let's just hope Osasuna stay ass and not class. Fingers crossed.
They could turn into Klassasuna, and then that would be like something completely different. So it's the name Derby. It's like the nickname Derby this week. So the stakes are higher, more than just Jake's bet. It's what we will refer to them on this podcast for the rest of the season. On behalf of Jake Osgood-Thorpe, I am Gareth Wheeler. This has been episode 58 of Pinnacle FC.